Welcome to the Astro Lounge, a podcast that invites you to unwind, have a little fun, and engage in meaningful conversations with others in the astro community and beyond.
We're some astro babes turned astro besties who met at Astrology University. We believe in astrology that works with you and that your chart is completely special and unique. In this pod, we're going to have some fun with astro through games, discussions, special guests, and even more.
Hi, I'm Simona, a travel consultant turned astrologer. I now help people journey inward, serving as a guide towards deeper self-discovery, agency, and a more meaningful, wonder-filled life.
Hiya, I'm Kaia, an astrologer weaving the threads of my three passions together: theater, astrology, and witchcraft, all for the hopes of digging into these little cosmic winks for some doses of self-love and self-acceptance.
So sit back, relax, grab a cozy beverage,
and let's get cosmic in this Astro Lounge.
Well, hello.
Well, hello. How are you, Kaia?
How am I? We were just chatting a little bit before we jumped on. I think I'm definitely feeling Uranus and Gemini energy.
Oh my goodness, tell me about it. My nervous system is like, it's so wired. I feel more wired than usual. I already have like this kind of nervous energy that goes on in my system. Now that Uranus is in Gemini, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to really work on those grounding practices because it's gonna be a little bit insane.
Yes, I know. And I'm excited because that is one of the first things we were actually going to chat about today. And we were recording actually on a different little day because Uranus and Gemini was like, hey, schedules. And we're like, okay. So it is 7:24 p.m., Wednesday, April 29th. And yeah, so we have a really fun episode ahead of us. But first, we're going to chit chat a little about Uranus and Gemini because it's one of the most pivotal transits and planetary changes of the astrological year. And then we have some kind of fun. This is a more kind of game centered, I don't know, just kind of fun, lighthearted episode. We each have a couple, some book recommendations to share for people who are interested in pursuing astrology and some are a little bit more advanced, some are more fundamentals. And then we're going to play a little bit of a kind of guessing game. Both Simone and I have picked 5 celebrities or well-known folks, and we're going to share with each other their placements, and we have to guess. So we have not shared where the placements are, and we haven't done research on these people. So we're going to try to kind of get one another. So that's kind of what we have on the menu for today.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little bit, it's very actually Geminian in a sense.
Oh my
It's
God.
very, there's got the,
It
we're
is.
embracing that energy and we didn't even actually like plan to do it for that reason, but it really
No.
feels a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We had said we'd have
Games
some games on this, so I mean, here we are.
and Venus. I'm a little biased. I have Venus in Gemini, and Venus also went into Gemini. So we are like, whoop, turning up the Gemini volume in the house here.
We absolutely are. So yeah, let's have a little talk about Uranus and Gemini. Like Kai said, it just recently went into Gemini after about 7 years in Taurus. Quite a different energy. So why don't we talk a little bit about Uranus as an archetype to begin with, first of all?
Yes. So Uranus is like, hey, everything you knew and planned for, that was funny. I'm gonna throw things up in the air. I'm gonna turn things upside down, not to hurt you, not to annoy you, maybe sometimes, I don't know. But really it is the planet that shakes us up, it wakes us up. Sometimes it's seen as Prometheus the Awakener. That's how Richard Tarnas has helped to describe this planetary archetype, which is a lovely way into it because it is this beautiful archetype of waking you up so that you are more aligned with your authentic self. It is a pattern breaking energy. Uranus is a great energy to use when you just want to like go for something. It's wild, it's eccentric, it has a lot to do with electronics, technology. It is like buzzy, kind of buzzy energy, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
electric, it's lightning, it's I call it kind of zappy energy. It's got
Mm,
this kind of, it's high frequency, it's
yeah,
an outer planet. It's the first outer planet of the three, right? Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And so it kind of takes us out of what we know. It's part of our,
yeah,
world, but it's not part of our world. I mean, it is, but it's not in our everyday. Like the inner planets have to do with like the everyday things that we're
yeah,
always working with and dealing with. But Uranus is like those lightning bolt insights, those moments that disrupt the status quo, that take us
mm,
beyond. And by disrupting, it can be very exciting and stimulating, it can be jarring.
yeah,
Disruption can be, even if it's we experience it as exciting or not, it nonetheless, it disrupts, it changes things, and it's very quick. So it's kind
yeah,
of like when it strikes you, when it strikes something, the moment something change, it's like an instantaneous boom, shattering of something or change, but then it takes some time to adjust it to that. And so it really has this liberatory energy, even though
mm,
the way it liberates and frees is not always in the way we might think we want it to. So
yeah,
it's a very it's a very electric. I know we've used that word already, but it's a very electric, energetic. And so in
yeah,
Taurus, where it's been for about 7 years, it was in a placement that was a little bit more. It kind of stabilized it a little. But change was slower. Change was a little bit
yeah,
slower. So it's still. We obviously had a lot of changes in the collective over the past 7 years, but it wasn't as quick as it's now going to be in Gemini, which is an air sign. It's Yang. And so Uranus and Gemini, it's like Uranus is like, yeah, let's do this. Boom, 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 boom. So if you
yeah,
have a lot of mutability in your chart and you're comfortable with mutability, this might feel good. It might be over even more, it might feel overstimulating, but you might already kind of welcome it or be used to it.
mm,
But if you're someone that has a lot of fixity or, other placements, this could feel very, you know, very stimulating, very jarring,
yeah.
very enlivening, you know.
I like that. I think enlivening is a lovely word for Uranus because it is constant upheaval, change, but not always upheaval in the literal negative sense. I think there's a connotation with that word, but it is, and it's very interesting to see this is now the last outer planets. So Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all these are the big players, the big guys. So when they change signs, it's like a wee bit of a big deal, and they all change signs. Like over, there was Pluto into Aquarius, Neptune into Aries, and then Saturn is also in Aries too. Throw that one in there, and now Uranus. So like now all three have shifted. So that's also why if you've been like seeing things on social media and you're like, first of all, I know astrologers are always like, there's something important happening. Did you know there's a big thing? Like all the time, we know,
Right.
but really trust us, this is a big one. And like a lot of people will say it is kind of the start of a new era because I mean, it kind of is. Pluto stays in a sign for like a million years. Neptune is about 14 or so, right? Give or take. And Uranus is about 7.5 to 8 years. And so
Yeah.
those are they're big shifts. And we always have to think about the signs they were in. And as you were saying, like from Taurus into Gemini, like shoot, that's a whole different sign. It's a whole different energetic.
Absolutely. And yes, you brought up a great point. They've all changed signs within
Yeah.
about a year or so time period, but they're also all configured to each other. So they're
Yep.
conspiring together, right? They're working together. And so
Yeah.
this is very powerful. And I always say you don't even need astrology to tell us this. We can feel it. We can just take a look at what's around us, what globally on a global level. These are some massive shifts. And so
Yeah.
if we think now the kinds of shifts that might be taking place in Gemini, you mentioned technology with Uranus and
Yeah.
the mind, Mercury rules Gemini. So there could be a lot of also advances in how we take in information or
Mm-hmm.
understand things as humanity. We might have access to new ways of thinking about things that we didn't think about before. I've heard some people talk a little bit about like, ESP and telepathy, and that's been kind of something that
Oh,
has
interesting.
come back into the conversation recently with the telepathy tapes and all these kinds of things. And so Uranus and Gemini kind of has that quality where we might be tapped into different ways of taking in information. And that's just one way to think about it.
Yeah, I mean it's huge because yeah, like that's you take the archetype of Uranus and then you have Gemini, and that's where this blending comes in. That so we look at the speed of Gemini, its flux, its movement, and Uranus as a planetary archetype is also like it's quick, it's fast. So now these two energies are kind of coming together. And then, Pluto and Aquarius already has some interest. I'm using interesting lightly here, things with technology going on, and then you add on Uranus and Gemini. And yeah, Gemini, we think like that buzzy quality. The communication is huge for Gemini. It's how do I think? How do I process info? How do I digest it? What am I curious about? So is this going to spark new curiosities? And as you said, it's really maybe going to be interesting to see how the shakeups and differences are in how we view things, how we understand things. Is there stuff that's going to happen with language or transportation? I also think of Gemini is also associated with the youth and like early school days. So maybe something to do with early school learning and whatnot, shakeups in the system there. Let's hope it's for the best. So yeah, and so there's like a collective level that we're
Yes.
seeing, and
Yep.
then the personal. Yes,
Yes,
yes.
because they always come together. So yes, the outer planets are these, bigger collective influences, but of course, we're experiencing them on a personal level, and depending on where they are in our chart and how they're configured to our chart, we are going to experience them in a very unique way. So
Yeah.
Kaia, where is Uranus and Gemini in your chart? What house is that in?
It's the ninth house. I don't know, I'm
Okay,
bashful about
okay.
it. I love the ninth house, and I already am like, oh, thank you, Uranus. So, I mean, I've told you a little bit, but to share with our millions of listeners here, thank you, everybody. So my mom's side of the family, she's from Estonia, small little country, and there's this beautiful language, Estonian language, and I do a lot of folk dance with it, like ever since I was a kid, but I have not yet really I haven't learned the language. It was my mom's first language, and I've always felt a little bit of like embarrassment or shame that I don't know it. And I keep wanting to learn it. I keep wanting to. It's one of those things, right? You're like, oh, one day I'll learn this, blah, blah. And then like it was still in Taurus, but like when planets are about to shift signs or make changes, like it's not like a light switch. There are rumblings, right? So it's not like as soon as Uranus went into Gemini, I decided this. It was actually like a little bit, but like maybe 3, 4 weeks ago. Um, but I noticed a shift. I was like, okay, now I'm ready to like, I'm ready to learn Estonian. And it's a really hard language to learn. And I've heard it growing up, but it is like the way it's kind of, I'm not saying like I'm like fluent by any means, but it is coming in a way that feels very maybe Iranian. Like I don't want to say it's easy, but it's like my mind feels open to like kind of absorbing this new language. It's a completely different way of like they have like 1,000 different case cases in Estonian. It's the grammar is tricky, but like it's landing with me in a way that I was kind of surprised by. And then at the same time, so that's like, the language, I feel very Geminian. And then I've been wanting to really get the tarot under my belt. And I've been like, okay, finally, I feel like this door open and I have space for that. And you could put tarot in the ninth house as well, because it's like I hate the word like higher learning, whatever, but sometimes people will do like educational programs or they'll travel, or this is where astrology, spirituality, belief systems come into play. And then finally, so I feel like I'm just a chatterbox right
No,
now,
I love this. Is great. You're already having so many experiences with
right?
it.
And I feel very lit. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting to feel. I was like, oh, maybe it's because I have Venus in Gemini, so I'm like, oh, I have a maybe there's a familiarity here. Um, and I love that it's in the ninth because it's like let's open up the mind, expanse a little bit. Literally, one of my besties, Alana, shout out. She was so kind. I don't think I've told you this actually. So my other bestie, many besties in this world, my bestie Jessie, Scorpio goddess, she's getting married to this beautiful human Dev, and they're getting married May 9th. And I was so excited to go to the wedding. And then I wasn't able to go, money, finances, right? And I was like, oh, and I told her she was so understanding. And then Lana was like, and for my birthday, which was April 22nd, she chipped in with Jesse and our boss to chip in for a ticket. And so I'm going to the wedding.
That is so what a perfect on point. I mean, that's like the surprise. Uranus is also the surprise
Yes,
and the
that's
excitement, and you're
right.
like, here it is, all out of nowhere. You
Out
did
of
not expect
nowhere.
it. You are
No.
having a really good experience already with it. I love that, and I love that you mentioned that you have Venus in Gemini,
Yeah.
and even though it's probably not quite aspecting it yet, because what degree? It's like in the later, mid to
10.
later. Okay, so you still a little bit of time before it will
Yeah.
necessarily, like, if we're talking like technically
Hmm.
aspect it by degree, but it's still there's a resonance. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I can feel that excitement and you being lit up.
Yes.
And I love that. I love it. It's awesome.
Right. And like we may also be attending the retreat in Canada for Astrology University. That's international travel. So yeah, just those were some like literal examples. So I'm kind of excited to see that and how it plays out over the next 8 years or so, because I think I was okay with it leaving the eighth house. You know, there was some heavy stuff there and shakeups. Learned a lot, but this feels, for me, I'm very grateful that it is feeling like a bit of a breath of fresh air. And I wasn't usually, I'm not a big Uranus fan. I don't have problems with Uranus. I'm just kind of like, but I'm like, oh, unexpectedly, I'm kind of digging it so far. We'll see. We'll see.
Unexpectedly perfect for
Yes.
Uranus. The
Right.
unexpected.
How about
Yes.
for you?
Well, mine is now in the eighth house. And so I'm still waiting to, I think it's going to
Yeah.
take some time for me to experience, okay, what does that mean, the significance of it? But I will say, as I mentioned earlier, having it move into Gemini, I feel that again, bringing it back to the nervous system, it is so stimulated. I have felt it exponentially. So I think that's something that is going to continue now in the eighth house. I'm thinking even just, pulling resources and coming together and merging, even just this podcast that we're doing. I just feel like that something really
Yeah.
something will come from it that maybe we don't expect a direction that it will go. But that's just predicting into the future. I don't know right now as I'm
I know.
experiencing it is just the energy of it. Now I'm a highly Uranian person. I have it in my
Yeah.
first house with Mars, conjunct Mars, and Mars is my chart ruler, and so I already have carry that Uranian quality, and so I think that that's also why I'm feeling it so strongly in the sense of like that charge. It's like a charge, and
Yeah.
it's one of those. It's high voltage. I often think of it like, if you're going to another country and you have to change it's on a different voltage, you have to be really careful, or else it'll like fry your hair dryer and fry all
Yeah.
your things, right? And so I think that for me, I can really, like I said at the beginning, I'm repeating myself, but it's just the importance of having to ground because I can really feel
Yes.
that quality coursing through me. How it will play out in the eighth house remains to be seen. I love that you're already experiencing all these things, and I don't have anything in Gemini. And I
Oh
have
yeah.
little mutability to begin with. I have Neptune in
Okay.
Sagittarius, which, it's a collective influence, but it's in a
Yeah.
house that isn't necessarily considered as prominent. So it's there. And I have Saturn in Virgo, which is Saturn, and, it's important, but I think I don't have a lot of inner planets in
Mm-hmm.
mutable placement. So I think this is going to be really interesting to see where this takes me.
I know. I'm very fascinated because like we already have like this is very eighth house territory. So I'm also curious to see where it takes you and if there's like psychological stuff that you
Yeah.
explore or like, being maybe like just the fascination with what's underneath the surface, what lies beneath or whatever, how that comes up, something. And yeah, just like those kind of surprises too with, and like how are you using your joint resources and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
curious to see where this goes because to your point, I do
Yeah.
have so much Scorpio, which is already,
Yeah.
has a resonance with the eighth house. And so and my Mercury, which is in Scorpio, exactly on my ascendant, ruling the eighth house. So it's like the
Yeah.
eighth house, just because I don't have any planets there and like, but in natally, it's still a really important house. I mean, all the houses are important, but it's still
Right.
like there's still a kind of weight to that. So
Yeah.
it'll remain to be seen. I will keep you
I
posted
know.
as
Yes, you
things
will.
progress.
I know. I hope we have the podcast throughout it all, and it'll be kind of fun to see how it gets like pinged and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah. And you brought up like nervous system, and that is one of the big pieces of advice for Uranus into Gemini. It's just that there's what's the positives, the really great stuff about it is that it does kind of introduce this curiosity. Okay, curiosity. I like it. And maybe it's also inviting us to lean into flexibility, adaptability, because it is highly mutable. And that's very different from Taurus. I got my son in Taurus, so it's like I'm like, oh yeah, I can feel that a bit. And breaking up from stagnancy. And also with Gemini, some of the work there, the challenging stuff, and with Uranus too, is like it's very buzzy, and so our nervous systems can experience some overstimulation, particularly mental stimulation, mental overload. And so the piece of advice there is actually, this feels kind of Taurian, is to bring in some embodiment, and then especially because Gemini is also associated with the lungs, I believe, is one of its lung, shoulders, and other stuff. I'm not a medical astrologer, but breathing. And I know a lot of my friends are always like, hi. I'm like, I know. My mom is, she's a therapist. She's like, breathe. And I'm like, but it is so huge. So wherever it is hitting you in your chart, it doesn't matter. Like bring like the breath work. I know like people may say it, but it is such a fundamental piece. And like if we bring that breath work in, I think it's going to help the Gemini like really feel fresh and alive too. But we have to remember to breathe.
I think that's beautiful. The breath work is excellent. Yeah, because we always hear ground, ground, ground. Well, what does that mean? I think there's different
Yeah.
ways to do that, right? And I think working with the breath or the voice, like doing
Oh yeah.
things that kind of, I won't do that, but like the or whatever
Yeah.
it is that kind of like stimulates. There's just whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to work with that energy. Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
especially since all the outer planets have shifted into signs and they're all air and fire signs, that means not as much Earth. Oh wow. Yeah, Earth is really not present right now, right?
Well,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
in the outer planets. I mean,
In the
we've
outer
got
planets.
fire and air, and I mean, it's so if we've got Pluto and Aquarius, we have Uranus and Gemini, air, air, right? And then we have
Yep.
Saturn and Aries, Neptune and Aries,
Yeah.
fire. And soon Jupiter is going to go into Leo. We're going
Yeah.
to have
More
even
fire.
more fire and very little water as well.
Yeah,
So it's like we really have to watch those things. We can't
we
stress
do.
that enough. But also,
Yeah.
it's like don't resist. Like there's going to be these
Yeah.
likely these insights and bursts of energy and
Oh my
things that
God.
come in. It's not so much about resisting the energetic, it's about channeling it in a way that's sustainable. And
Exactly.
anytime all the
Exactly.
outer planets, not just Uranus, they can be tricky in
Yeah.
this mundane world, in this everyday life. They really change things up in a way that can really be difficult on our little human bodies. So we have to really find ways to work with it so that we can get the benefits,
Yeah.
because there's so much that can come from these outer planets that are
Yeah.
really, breakthroughs and things like that for us, that if we are mindful with how we use it, we can really go far. They can take us to places that we never imagined we could go.
I love that you said that because I couldn't agree more. It's yeah, not resisting it. It's using our tools and resources, and that's why astrology is so great because it really does let you like, oh, it really lets you like plan out your time if you choose to do it. Like I've already been thinking about. I really haven't been doing much breathing in my like daily practices and routines, and you can feel it. When your nervous system is out of whack, my energy, like there's a lot of excitement and buzz.
Yes.
Gemini is right. Gemini is not known for the follow through necessarily. So I'm like, okay, right, right, right. So I'm gonna have to figure out moments of centering and focus. And then another way to work with Uranus and Gemini too is like some of the advice I've been seeing too is just like, hey, whatever wherever Uranus hits in your chart. So if it's right, like fourth house of home, family, second house of like resources, relationships, seventh house, whatever, fifth house, creativity. Is there a way that are there ways to be inventive and innovative? Are there ways to kind of do something you've never done before to look at it in a different way? Is there a different way you can be creative? And it's very much like whatever wild ideas brewing in your head, this is actually a really good time to chase after it, right? So any of those, as you're saying, those sparks, those shocks, it's really important to kind of to respect those and lean in.
Yes, Uranus wants, if we think of what does that planetary archetype want, wants to free us to be more of ourselves, truly
Yeah.
our original selves, whatever we are authentically, and to be free to be that. So,
Yeah.
whatever comes in, let's go with it. Let's honor that. Let's try to really embrace that energy. So, yeah, the little
Yeah.
little overview of Uranus and Gemini,
Just a
just a
little.
touch. I'm sure we'll be discussing it many, many times over the
Oh yeah.
course of the
Oh
years
yeah.
to come, because again, it's going to be there for about 7 years. So,
Yeah.
this is just the beginning. But sometimes we experience things more strongly, or we feel them because there's such a shift.
Yeah.
At the beginning, we can feel them more intensely. And then we kind of, I mean, they still continue on, and
Yeah.
how they affect our chart, depends. But I think that it's just like initial time that we kind of just need to watch how we, because can take us over.
It
It can be
can.
like very
Yes.
shocking, very
Yeah.
shocking.
Awesome. Well, in the spirit of Gemini and words and learning and information, we actually, Simona had this brilliant idea of sharing some books. We have a plethora of books because we're nerds, astrology bookworms, and also we had to get them for our school. And so, what we figured we might do this every once in a while. So we've each picked three books to share, so we'll do that and kind of intersperse them throughout this episode and kind of chat a bit about those. Should we start off with those, do you think?
Yeah, I love that. And yeah,
Yeah.
we're probably going to do this many times again on
Mhm.
our podcast, but we just chose three, each of us chose three books and just review. So, like, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I can go first, whichever. Yeah, let's see. You know what? Should I start with the big guy? Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Start with the big guy.
So
Let's go
let's
big.
start with
Let's
the
go
big guy.
big.
So I've got, I know it might be flipped on the screen, Cosmos and Psyche by Richard Tarnas. And then the subtitle is Intimations of a New World View. So at Astrology University, we literally have a whole course 7, year one, a whole course on just this text, and we didn't even read all of it. This to me feels, I want to say, I don't want to bring religion to this. I was like, it's the Bible.
Courses, actually, even two courses. It's
Oh
crazy.
my
And we still
God,
don't go through the whole text, right?
two
It's
courses.
it's so
Yes.
it's so rich. So rich. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you
So
off. It's just like
rich.
it's just
No,
underscoring the depth of this book.
look at this. She's thick. She's beautiful. We love her. I mean, I fell in love with this book. It's not like a fun light read. Well, like, maybe it's fun. I found it fun. It's not like a light read, though. You're in it, right? So if you love this kind of stuff,
Yes.
it's lovely. And it is just a beautiful piece of work. So he Tarnas explores, a lot of historical events, and then their relationships with the planetary alignments. For example, what was going on when Uranus entered Gemini so many years ago? What was going on when Pluto and Saturn were meeting up, and what did it look like then? Like years later after that. So he's looking at these various planetary alignments and talking about the historical moments of them, and in a way that really challenges the current Western worldview, especially particularly in the Enlightenment, where we're kind of like we're a dominion over nature. It is man led, it is only rational, it's only logistical thought. And Tarnas is challenging us to kind of really look deeper into the archetypal forces of the cosmos and to kind of go back into that more reflective, receptive, internal worldview and to actually respect nature. And there's a lot of talk in this text too about being a participant with the cosmos and the universe. Um, I wrote it better in my homework. I pulled up a homework assignment. And I was
It's
like,
hard to
oh,
no, it's a beautiful overview. It's so eloquent. It's just brilliant. But
and
Kai and I have talked a little bit about how we really focus on an archetypal perspective. And of course, archetypes are the planets, the signs, and all of that. But Richard Tarnas really focuses on the planets first and
yeah,
foremost. Like it's the focus of the book. And he really gets into that archetypal energy. And I just love how much research he's done. He's done so much research, but
astounding.
I don't know about you, Kaya, but my favorite part of this text are the first few chapters
Yeah,
where he kind of speaks to what you were saying, like what the worldview used to be like, right? What the modern worldview is like, and this need to kind of have a new cosmology that integrates. I just love how he speaks to that. It really was quite moving when I read it.
it
And just
is.
for those who maybe prefer to listen, it's also on Audible. So I have
Okay.
both because it helps with this
Yeah,
text. It's quite dense in nature. It's very rich. And it's just such a great, I mean, I'm just very grateful for what he has done for astrology because he had to really step out. He was, he Harvard, he started at Harvard in this very academic setting, and he had to
Yeah.
really kind of step out and be okay. That to me is very Uranian, and actually he has Uranus trine the
Yeah.
sun, so it makes sense that he would do this, right? He'd be
Yeah.
very authentic and take that, go, you know what, I'm going to go against the grain, against the mold of my community, that
Mm,
and really share this because it is groundbreaking. It is a
yeah.
groundbreaking text.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. It's also it's foundational, especially if you want to pursue astrology, or if you're like, I like astrology, eh, but you're someone who is maybe spiritual or soulful, whatever that means for you. This is a really important text because I also just love how he emphasizes that the cosmos universe is a sentient, intelligent being, or whatever, you want to say, like, and that's where a lot of astrology university centers our stuff around, is that you are in conversation with your chart. Your chart is not just dictating, and you're not just dictating it either, but rather you're in conversation, you're in a flow, you're in exchange. And I also love that it's really truly anti-patriarchy, because it's also right, it's really taking us back to earth, and not just leading with one as you're saying, mechanistic, patriarchal, sorry, but not sorry, take that out. um
Coin jar.
Force.
We on one of our episodes we said every time we say sorry, we're going to start a coin jar. We really need to have like physically here for both of us.
Yes, I think we already
As
have
a
like
Libra sun, Libra
$5.
rising for you. Yeah, we need our coin jar. But yeah, continue.
But yes, Cosmos and Psyche, Richard
Yes.
Tarnas. He's also has written Passion of the Western Mind, and then Uranus, Prometheus, the Awakener, and that's a text actually to explore Uranus, and I'm sure other texts as well that I'm forgetting. But I would, this is like foundational astro book. It's going to provide you with a beautiful framework of working with astro.
Yes. And
Yeah.
would you put it at the intermediate? I think anyone can read it, but I think that
Yeah.
it is something that you really like. It's not a light read, to your point.
It's
So
not a light read. We do it year one and year two or three,
yes,
but so I think it could be something you're kind of reading along other stuff. I would maybe
yes.
read bits and chunks, especially if you're interested in seeing astrology as a thing that you're working with, right?
That's yes,
Yeah.
exactly. If you're really getting into astrology, if it's, I think this is just such a beautiful text for that. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
I love it so much. I want to read it again.
Love it too. I love it too.
Okay, what's your book pick?
Okay, so I do have a couple from AU, but in my first book, and I don't have the book with me because
Yeah.
it's an Audible. It's also a book,
Right.
but I will share my screen in a moment. But it is Visionary Activist Astrology by the amazing Carolyn W. Casey. So
Ugh.
I am going to share my screen and
Yeah.
okay. I love this book. And I also have an emotional connection to it because when I was getting back, astrology was always in my life, but
Yeah.
it came back into my life like really strongly, like I had mentioned in the intro video, like 2016, 2017. And I was really enjoying it. But then I got this Audible. I was in a phase where I was downloading everything I could on Audible that had to do with astrology. And a lot of it was good, it was whatever. And I came across this and oh my God, that was it. That's what launched me to go on an astrology retreat was this
Yeah.
book. And I highly recommend. I love the Audible because she narrates it herself, and it's a whole experience with music, and her voice is amazing. She's just an amazing storyteller. She uses like the mythic poetic language, and what I really love about this book is her focus on the planetary archetypes. And I remember Tony mentioning there's not a lot of books out there that focus so much on the planets. A lot of them incorporate the planets, but there's a lot of focus on the signs and the houses.
Yeah.
What she does beautifully is, first of all, the introduction. She starts by talking about astrology, what it is, what it has to, what the different ways we can think about astrology and, what it can do, right?
Yeah.
The power of it. But she does in the first chapter this overview of the signs, houses, aspects like and you think, how can you do that in one chapter? Well, listen to the Audible. She
Ugh.
does a beautiful overview, right? And
Yeah.
then goes into each planet chapter by chapter in depth. and she just makes it makes these planets come alive. I mean, you're just like just in it. It's so beautiful, it's so rich. And if you really want to get intimate with the planets and really understand those archetypes, I highly recommend this book. So I can't speak strongly enough about it. I go back and listen to it from time to time because it's just really powerful. And again, she's an amazing storyteller. She really draws you in. One of my favorite astro books of all time.
Wow, I cannot believe because I've read her other book, Making the Gods Work for You, because that was a suggested text in
Yes.
our courses, and I really loved her writing it. She really pulls you in, and that's I like that you made that point. If you really want to get intimate with the planets, because it's true, like that is where, of course, the signs, but sometimes I feel like people don't realize that really it's the planets that are these fundamental archetypal guiding principles, and like we want to get familiar with those, and like similar with like Cosmos and Psyche and Caroline Casey's like text there, like hello,
Yes.
archetype
Yes.
as well, you know?
But she has a way, she's so also accessible, which is like
Yeah.
what I mean, I had started listening to stuff and I always, like I said, astrology was around, but I wasn't like reading all the texts yet. So,
Yeah.
and it's really, again, accessible, easy to understand, but yet deep. And
Mm.
what I also love, and I didn't mention, is that she starts from the collective framework and works in. So she starts with the outer planets. In fact, after the first chapter, she kind of speaks first about these collective influences as a whole, like what that's about.
Mm.
And then she breaks it down and starts with, I believe, Neptune. I think she starts,
Mm.
but each planet and then goes in all the way and ends with the sun. And so she works
Oh,
outwards in. And it's just, you go on this journey. You go on this journey. So again, if you
okay.
guys are looking for a beautiful book to just dive into like that and
Yeah,
sink into and really have these planets speak to you, this is the one. And like, that's my
this is the
opinion. I'm
one.
sticking to it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you are. I'm definitely, I need something to like, I love listening. So that's perfect that it's on audio too. So awesome. Well, oh, hello. Hi, voice. We were thinking we could do, a little bit of our game and then we might go back and introduce some other books. How are you feeling about that? Do you want to
Yeah,
try it
let's
out?
intersperse it. Let's do so this very
Okay.
Geminian as well.
It's very
Yes, because
Gemini.
this game that we have, it's like maybe we start with like let's guess one, and then we'll
Yeah.
go back to a book. Okay, cool.
Okay,
All right.
sweet.
So Kaya had
Okay.
mentioned earlier, we just wanted to throw some games in. So if you guys, just for fun, just keep it lighthearted. And so we, again, each of us chose five celebrities or famous people or, that are out there that most people are kind of familiar with for the most part. And then we chose their sun, moon, ascendant, and midheaven. And then we're going to try to get each other to like guess who's who.
Yeah.
And just one little note on the midheaven, maybe that's not a term that
Yeah.
everyone's heard, but like the ascendant, which is like on the horizon line, and it speaks to how this is a very quick and dirty overview of the ascent, very quick.
I like it.
We could one time, eventually we'll do like a whole podcast on
I
these
think
like
so. We will.
terms.
Yeah.
But where the ascendant is how you meet the world, it's how you come across first, it's how your first interchange, it's very, very personal. The MC speaks to more of how you come across in your mission, your calling, and how the world sees you kind of like in your professional life. And so for a lot of these celebrities, sometimes we might meet them first through their midheaven versus their ascendant, because the ascendant's more personal. So
Hmm.
just something to think about as you are looking at these different placements. If you zoom into the midheaven, think, oh, how are these people coming across to us? Because that's
Yeah.
often the midheaven.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very public. It has a lot to do with your career, vocation, mission, your calling,
Top of the
how
chart. Yeah.
top of the chart. And yeah, it's so funny because like sometimes I feel like we really get a sense of people's, as you're saying, celebrities or well-known people like you kind of know from a local people, you really might be sensing that maybe more so than the moon, even the sun sometimes. So this
Yeah.
will be kind of fun to explore, and we have not told each other, so we're truly
Yes, and we
guessing.
also have probably different documents and done it differently. So we're this
Yes,
is just
and we
like a
did.
little experiment here.
We
So I
definitely
hope you
did.
guys want to go along for the ride.
Yeah, yeah. All right, who's gonna go first?
Go for it. All right. You want
Do
to
you
you
want me
want
to
to
make you
share?
guess,
Yeah, all right.
or
Oh
am I?
gosh.
No,
Okay.
I'll guess. I'll guess
Okay,
first.
okay, 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 cool.
Okay.
So I'm going to share my screen again.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh
So
no.
for those of you who may not have this, who are listening versus watching this on YouTube, I have chosen Timothy Chalamet, Will Ferrell, Adele, Ali Wong, and
Oh my God.
Lana Del Rey as my five people. And let's see here, Kaya. What do we
Okay.
have here?
Damn.
So I think this is one that's a little bit tricky for those who are just listening because there's now all four.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should read all these
Well,
placements.
do you want to pick one? Like, do you want me to like be like, who do you think the Sun and Cancer, Moon and Leo one is? Like, do you want to pick one and throw one at
Okay,
me?
let's do that way. So who do you
Okay.
think I will choose.
Okay.
All right. Who of these five people
Yeah.
do you think has let's see here. Let's do the sun in Cancer,
Okay.
the moon in Scorpio,
Mm.
the ascendant in Virgo, and the MC in Gemini.
Okay. I'm gonna guess and then I will give my reasons for why. Thankfully I do know most of these people. I'm also just kind of killing time right now until I guess very
I'm trying
Geminian.
to put you on the, we're on the spot. We're on the
I
spot,
love
but
it.
yeah,
And you know what's funny is like a bunch of my people that I picked too, there are a lot of MC and Geminis. So
that's
that's
I love it.
right with writers,
Yes.
singers, actors
Yes, so
too,
let's
though.
think about that. Again, we can
Let's
kind of zone it,
think about
we
that.
can hone in on the MC, but of course these other placements are going to color the whole person, right? But there's something about that.
Okay. My gut, hmm, I think Ali Wong, Sun in Cancer, Moon Scorpio, Sun in Virgo, MC Gemini. No.
I can totally see why you would think that. That is an excellent
Yeah.
guess.
Okay, it's not that.
It's not Ali Wong, but it's an
Okay.
excellent guess
Okay, I'm gonna do one
because you
more.
can see that kind of quality, that
Yes.
Gemini.
Well, and the reason I said that is like because I could see the Virgo rising quality, absolutely, and then the Gemini, of course, MC, the chit chat, the humor, and then the Sun in Cancer because I think she has there's like a lovely warm, maybe focus on family, and then the Moon in Scorpio because just comedians being able to kind of go dark and sharp. Okay,
Yeah,
so
well, you touched on
I
something there with I don't want to say too much.
what ooh, which
You
one,
hit on something
what did I say?
there.
What did I touch on?
Well, if I say it, it'll be too obvious now.
Really? Okay. Let's see. Let's
What
see.
type
Hold on.
of people might have this?
What type of people might comedians? Okay. Oh, Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell.
Yeah!
Okay, so Will Ferrell
Ding,
has
ding,
Sun
ding.
and Cancer.
Yes, well, what's interesting,
Okay.
yeah, so it's like, well, that's an example, and I probably could have put the houses there too, because where it's positioned, maybe
Um.
it's in a more, but if you think of the MC, what really stood out to me when I thought about this is the MC in Gemini, because of like his
Oh my
versatility and
God.
his ability to do all these different
Yes.
roles feels
Yes.
very MC in Gemini.
Oh
So,
wow.
and so if we think about, well, then I wonder, I would have to
Oh,
go
that's
back and
lovely.
yeah. Anyhow, yeah.
Oh, you know what's interesting too is like I do see the moon in well, I don't maybe I don't see it. The moon in Scorpio because he seems actually like he's in a way private and like what I've heard nothing from celebrities I hang out. No, but from like what I've heard from people working with him is that they enjoy working with him, but that there's a sense of like professionalism. And I think there's a little bit and that feels kind of Scorpio feels actually quite Virgo to be. Like he feels like he's coming in with a Virgo aesthetic, we're clean, we're efficient, we're getting to the point here, and like also to be like such a successful comedian and actor, you kind of that's very interesting to see that stuff together. And then I see the Sun in Cancer actually. We don't know on a personal level, but okay. That's interesting. The MC in Gemini totally makes sense, and maybe also because some of his characters are so kind of like very biting. So maybe the Moon in Scorpio helps to access that.
Yes, and so this is what it's like. Of course, it's fun to then go down the rabbit hole, and I
Right?
always like to like look up people's quotes and like their whole
Yeah.
life and like see where all these other placements are
Yeah.
coming through, right? But it was just
Yeah.
like for a quick exercise. It's amazing how you can like already pick up on some stuff just from the little things that one might know about somebody, right?
Oh my God. Okay. So my thought is, if you're okay with it, could I
Yes,
guess another one of
yes.
yours?
Go ahead. Let's guess
Okay.
another one. Maybe we'll just do a couple this
I like
episode, and
it.
we can yeah choose a which who do you want
Okay.
to guess?
I want to guess Adele's
All right, go for it.
because I have two. Okay. So all right, now I'm looking at the sun in Taurus, moon in Sag, ascendant Cancer, MC in Pisces, and I think either it could be Adele or Timothy Chalamet. Oh fuck, or Lana Del Rey. Okay, the reason I'm saying Adele for the sun and Taurus is because I get that very Venusian quality. And the Cancer rising, she's literally making people cry through music. MC Pisces, music. Maybe Moon and Sag. There's a little like, ooh, something there. That was a really great interpretation. Am I right? No.
You are
Really?
nailed it,
Shit.
nailed
Oh my
it,
God.
nailed it. Yes, that is exactly right. That's exactly
Wow.
right. Yes,
Ah,
beautiful.
genius.
That I'm almost like, did you know that? Did you know
No, that's so funny. But I say that because I mean, just I didn't want to be so stereotypical with Cancer and Pisces, but I mean, like, like literally, she's making people cry. Like
I
you,
mean, it's so,
hello,
and it's amazing again how much we can
yeah,
glean from these
mhm,
placements and just thinking about the quality of the person, what they bring to the table. There is
yeah,
that is something, it's very emotional and connected to her mood. It's very
it is.
now we have two water placements there. Both her angles are in water
Jeez,
signs.
yeah, yeah, and then that's nice that she has some mutability with the Sag too to help things moving, and she seems quite like grounded. Like there's something like boom with the
There's a
Taurian stuff,
presence.
the
There's a
presence.
real presence
Right?
to her.
And like,
Yes.
I kind of have a guess for who I think Timothy might be, but I could
Oh, go
also
for it. I mean, while you're on a
really,
roll, go for
actually,
it.
why not? Okay, is he the sun in Aries?
He's not,
No, that was a
but
really
you were
okay.
going in the right direction earlier, thinking that he or Adele might be who Adele is.
Ooh,
That makes
she's
sense
a
to those people who
wordsmith.
are listening and not watching this, but
She's
yeah,
got riddles upon riddles. Okay,
riddles upon
okay.
riddles.
Wait, is Ali Wong the sun in Capricorn? Fuck.
No,
No,
but
no. The sun in Aries.
yes,
Okay. Yes, 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 yes.
firecracker,
She's a
firecracker, right?
firecracker. I knew her, but I just recently watched more of her specials, and I love stand up. She is epitome of firecracker. Oh my God, I love her.
All packed into this like little frame,
Yes,
right? She's just fire,
yes,
fire, fire, right? But
right.
yet
Oh my God, yeah, the Sag rising.
totally, but I can also see that moon in Pisces. I think of Pisces being able to tap into like what's going on in the collective, and she can like access all these kind of jokes that are just kind of permeate, like just be
Yeah,
tuned in and tapped into that.
yes. Oh my God, MC and Libra. That's always helpful for an artist,
Yes,
right?
likability, right?
Right,
I mean,
likability.
obviously not everybody with the MC in Libra is likable, but
Right,
it is Venus
but
ruled, so there's um a
yeah.
good chance that one will be likable.
There's
Like
there's a good chance, yeah. And
assuming
also the
everybody loves Ali Wong, maybe that's not the
right.
case, but
Hey,
I
and
like
and
her.
then
I like her.
there is something interesting though about the moon in Pisces and like comedians or actors and just a Pisces. Like sometimes you see a lot of actors with Pisces placements, and that Pisces ability to kind of be who you need to be able to play the part, the role, but also to be able to like I don't know. There's something comedians fascinate me because usually there's a lot of stuff right in their history
Yeah.
in their past right that they're
Yes.
working out here, so it's kind of interesting to see the moon Pisces and then the Aries pushing it out there perhaps. I don't know.
Absolutely. Now I'm like, I wish I had like done a deep dive on all these people and go into this even, but
Oh,
we kind of threw this up as a quick game.
hey, yeah,
But this makes me think we should every so often throw in some charts and do a deep
I
dive. But
think so
that's
too.
another story for
Me,
another time.
I was thinking
But
about that too. Yeah.
well, now that you've pretty much, I mean, do you want to just
Okay,
finish it?
I
All
want to
right.
finish it. Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Cool. Cool.
I think you can tell my thoughts on Timothy apparently. Is he the sun in Cancer, the other sun in Cancer, and the moon in Leo?
Um, no.
I love it. Nope. Is he the sun in Capricorn?
He is the sun in Capricorn. Yes. And
Hmm.
for me,
Okay.
when I
And
looked at that, it took me a second. No, go ahead. What were you gonna
no,
say?
no, sorry. Okay, so then that makes Lana Del Rey the sun in Cancer. Okay. 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 So, I mean, if we look at Chalamet's, like, he's done really well for, like, there's that Capricorn. He's kind of,
His work ethic. I mean,
yeah,
he's done so
yeah.
much. Like that's one thing we often hear about him is his work ethic, and he's really dedicated to this craft.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that as much. Okay. Okay.
And I
That's very
think
Capricorn. Yeah.
very Capricorn. I think the MC in Taurus, another Venus rule signed, another, I mean, he had a bit of a difficult moment recently with social media, but on the whole,
Oh,
he's a
you
very
did.
likable guy. I still, I mean, I loved
Oh,
him before,
really?
but I mean, not, we don't need to go into all that, but
We
there
did.
was, he made some comments and it
Yeah,
offended,
yeah,
you know, some communities and on
yeah.
the ballet and the opera community. I'm not going to go into this whole thing. And,
Right.
it's the bottom line is overall though, I think that he has been liked by many people until that moment.
So
That might have,
well, this is a case of where we see the archetypal, regardless of the person,
yes,
and
because
that's where the
things are
archetypes
transient.
are neutral.
Exactly. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. I definitely see the sun in Cap, especially like kind of taking on such like pivotal roles, in a kind of a young age, which sometimes you see Capricorn placements playing out later, but there's something interesting about the Capricorn there. And then of course I was just talking about that with acting, the moon in Pisces, that doesn't surprise me. And again, the Virgo risings, I feel like I've actually seen that in a lot of artist charts, and I feel like that can be a really helpful vehicle to kind of like see how they're going to get the stuff done and kind of systemize and be efficient about it.
And continue fine tuning your craft. And I think that's
Fine.
something that's really important for actors is keep
Beautiful.
adjusting their craft, right? And like, is this good?
Yeah.
Is this good? Should we tweak this here? What more can I
Yeah.
do? That type of thing.
Oh, that's beautiful. And then of course, oh, Lana Del Rey. Okay, Moon and Leo, MC and Leo. Oh, no wonder I love her so much. I have both of those. Wow, those are the most Leo thing. And
Yes,
hello,
you have both of those.
I have
Yes.
both of those. And like, I'm not saying she is like, I love her aesthetic and her music videos. Like, it's very like ornamental, which I think Leo doesn't get enough for. I know the Leo's talking really loudly right now. Whatever. And the ascendant. Oh God, of course, the Scorpio rising. She's like, "Hello, I'm Lana Del Rey." I don't know.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. I
there's
mean,
like a
it's so perfect.
hello, right? That and then the sun in Cancer. I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah. Oh,
I
that
just think
was
I know this is just a silly thing, but she has the
yeah.
sun at 0 degrees Cancer, so literally at like it's like
Whoa.
the first day of summer, but it's also the
Oh,
first day where this I was just thinking about this a couple years ago when I was writing something, how the days are going to start to wane, even though it's the first day of summer, they're going to get shorter. And she wrote
yeah.
Summertime Sadness, and it made me think, I don't know if this is
Literally.
connected at all, but
Yes, it
it
is.
made me think of that, like, oh, and
Oh my God.
anyway.
Yes. Oh my God. So
There's
good.
that
I
even
love
the
summertime
title, that
sadness.
Cancerian, that kind of nostalgia, that
Yeah.
nostalgia quality.
Nostalgia quality. Oh my God. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, interesting. And then when you look at Adele's rising, Cancer rising too, then okay. Wow. Fascinating. These were good picks.
Oh, there we are. There we
There we
are.
are.
Okay, cool. Do you want to do yours or should we switch to another book and then go back to yours? What do you want to do?
Let's do a book and then I'll do mine and maybe, yeah, we'll see where we go.
All
I had to
right. Well,
change
that
my
sounds,
lighting. Oh,
oh, it's perfect. It's perfect.
we're recording it the evening time, and so the sun disappeared, and I went away.
We're not used to recording at this time, so
We're
everything's a little
not.
bit different.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Okay,
Well,
let's do
would you
our.
like to do your next book recommendation?
Yes, I. Oh, I like how. Oh, I like the seductiveness of that,
I'm feeling the
Simona.
nighttime quality. It is coming through me now.
Okay, so the next book I have is The Inner Sky by Stephen
Classic.
Forrest. It's a classic.
Classic.
I Stephen Forrest kind of he's a shisty little fellow. He makes me laugh a bunch because he's Capricorn, but like Capricorns have such a funny sense of humor. And it's a great practical beginner. I would say Tony calls them cookbooks, and there are some cookbooks that you should get, and maybe ones that are good to avoid. But
Well said.
right? And Stephen
Yeah.
Forrest is he still considered an evolutional astrologer?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
That's his main focus.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
his like what's the word I'm looking for? Niche. Or
Oh,
that's not quite
that's
the
his
right word.
yeah.
Yeah, his focus, his areas
His
of expertise.
focus.
Yeah.
Okay, and what I like about this one is that it's kind of like a basic fundamental astro book, but he has that evolutionary perspective, and so you take what works, leave what doesn't. But I actually think it can be really helpful, and it talks about aspects and houses, but also signs and planets, and he talks about resources that the books have, and I just like he sometimes has a different take on certain signs and planets than I would have expected. And you might also just get like a kick out of his reading because he'd be like, oh, I don't know. There's just something curmudgeon-y and funny about it too.
Oh, I mean, again, another amazing storyteller. Talk about a great
Yeah,
storyteller, right? I mean, he's
yeah.
great. And you do laugh. You kind of have to laugh out
You do
loud. But it's
laugh.
like, and he kind of is in on the joke too. Like,
Yes.
you just have to go, I'm right there with you. You just like,
Yeah.
oh, Steven. He's great. He's amazing. He's
Yeah, he's a little
amazing.
mischievous, I feel. I feel like he's a little mischievous. So
Mischievous.
maybe my Venus and Gemini likes that. It's an easy read, but yet again, because like he has done so much in the astro community too, very, very esteemed astrologer. So you're getting oh no.
Okay, everybody, you see these lights flashing? Perfect example of Uranus, a Uranian moment right there. That is an example. You are channeling. Oh my God. Thank
Keeping
you.
that
Thank
in.
you for that literal example.
Yeah, one of my light bulbs went out. So I guess the lights are like, yeah, that's a good book to get. How about you?
It was a yes. No, I second all of that. And just to add to it, like
Yeah,
it is a wonderful beginner book. And I think some of the deepest astrologers have a way of making things simple and accessible and
yeah,
still be profound. So yes, if you are new to
yes.
astrology or intermediate or anybody who could enjoy this
Yeah,
book, but if you're really starting out and you want a very good, as you said, quote unquote, cookbook, but more than that, that's a great book.
it's a great one. And I like the
Yep.
cover too.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. How about you? That was so funny.
Okay, my next book is Retrograde Planets by Erin Sullivan.
Ah, love
Okay,
that one.
now I chose this book. We read this book in year two. I would
Mhm.
definitely say it's intermediate.
Yeah.
It's not a light read, but what I love about it, retrograde, Mercury retrograde, it's all in the pop culture right now.
Mhm.
If you want a book that takes you into the psyche, into a deeper understanding of what the significance of retrograde planets are, both natally, if you're born with it in your birth chart, born with it in your birth chart, if you have it in your birth chart, or when it's by transit, this book is so beautiful. It
Yeah.
really gives you an understanding of the cyclical nature and the kind of like when what the significance of retrogradation is. That retrograde, is that, am I saying, I went back on my Uranus is in full effect right now, but anyways, if you want to really understand it on a psychological level. And what I love about this book, first it lays it out like the technical component. So the first couple of chapters, you kind of get an understanding of what it looks like
Yeah.
in the sky, which is always great to connect the actual motion and the astronomy of things because that can really help you feel into the rhythm. And then she breaks it down by first starts out with like the planets, the inferior planets. And by inferior, that doesn't mean inferior as less than, just like
Right.
Venus and Mercury, the ones that are within the Earth's orbit, and then the superior planets outside of the Earth's orbit. And she goes into what it means when you're having a retrograde moment, when we're having a retrograde moment, the rhythm of it, how long it is, what the different stages. There's different stages. It's not just like it's retrograde, it's not retrograde. There's different parts of the retrograde cycle. And she does a deep dive and gives lots of examples too of how people have experienced it in their life. So if you really want to understand what retrograde means, what it means when a planet is retrograde on a psychological level, I think this is the book for it.
I love retrograde planets, and I'm just gonna boost you a little bit here. Simona's so good with retrograde. Like I totally see you doing like some kind of focused topic on the subject. Because you really don't mind my lights flashing for the listeners. The lights keep going on and off in my room. It's great. But Simona does a really great like treatment because as you're saying, there's so many phases to retrograde planets that I can understand the deep psychological aspects of it, but the parts of the cycle and are sometimes a little tricky to navigate. So this text does a great job of exploring that. And yeah, like we forget that it's not just Mercury that's retrograde, but Venus, Mars, and so on, right? And there's so much. And so I'm so glad you picked that book. But yeah, definitely, as you said, intermediate, but oh my God, it's so worth it.
Yeah, it is a little
Yeah.
technical again, but it really
Yeah.
is so worth it. And even goes into, we didn't go into the outer planets because they are
Yeah.
retrograde, 4 months out of the year, but there's still information in there that's very useful. And so I really do recommend it if you want to go further with that.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. Okay. Well, some good books there. All right, now it's time to grill me to
Oh
grill you.
boy. Oh my God. These guessing games stress me out. I'm ready.
Really? Oh
Of
no.
course, I was just like, let's play this game. Oh my
Okay,
gosh,
wait a
I'm stressed
second.
out by it. Let's see.
Okay, so okay. For those
All right.
listen, can you see that, Simona?
Maybe can you maybe a little? I mean, I can see
I
it.
can make it
Yes.
bigger. That's
Awesome.
what that. Oh, Kaya, don't be naughty.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Is that better?
Oh, yeah, it's perfect. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Mm.
the celebrities I have for those listening, I picked Megan Thee Stallion. Hello. Andrea Gibson.
Hello.
Hello. Lisa Kudrow. Kendrick Lamar. And Simone, I know you may already know this chart, but you know I'm just in love with him. Kurt Cobain.
Yeah. Can I
um,
start with him?
yeah, you can. And so,
Process of elimination.
right.
Yes.
And the one I think people might know a little bit less would maybe be Andrea Gibson. They use they them pronouns or this they were this amazing non-binary poet and they died this recent year of terminal ovarian cancer, unfortunately, and their wife Megan is an amazing poet as well, and their poetry has a lot to do with, and this is also a clue for you, um, uh grief and hello, oh wow, I said grief, my lights went out, and their
Yeah, and like,
poetry, it's beautiful. I so recommend it. They were like oh God, what is the word, a talking, but not a talking poet, like a poet on stage, what is the word, um
oh,
God, why is that? It's escaping me. But the way they would perform and embody how they spoke their poetry was beautiful. And but it's also quite life affirming at the same way and really taking advantage of life. And so, and I also just want to give a shout out to the documentary. Tig Notaro, a famous comedian, is a big producer of this. It's called "Come See Me in the Good Light," and it tracks Andrea's journey and their journey with this terminal life diagnosis. And so just really taking life and the extreme, and yeah, so that's what I want to say. I
that's
feel like,
beautiful. No, I'm glad you gave that
yeah,
overview. That's awesome.
okay. And then Kendrick Lamar, if you don't know, watch know him. He's an amazing rapper and lyricist. Megan Thee Stallion, amazing rapper, and we know Lisa Kudrow probably from Friends. She was Phoebe, and then Kurt Cobain, grunge, and the love of my life.
Eh, amazing
I
individual. I'm
Yeah.
going to start with him.
Okay.
Process of elimination here. So, ascendant
Yeah.
in Virgo, conjunct Uranus and Pluto, Sun
Yeah.
in Pisces, Moon in
Yep.
Cancer, and
Yep.
MC in Gemini.
Yep.
So, wow, a lot of mutability here, and gosh, that sensitivity, that Sun in Pisces, that deep
Oh my God.
sensitivity, and he had also has so many placements in Pisces, as we've looked at his chart so much, but it's just this beautiful kind of in tune with things to the point where it was, I'm sure, very overwhelming to
Yeah.
him. But what a beautiful soul. So that's my guess
Okay.
there.
Perfect. And can you see this other? I have my cheat sheet. Can you see my cheat sheet? No, you can't.
I only see the five people
Haha.
and their
Brilliant.
placement.
So what I'm going to do
So I
is
don't
now
see.
I'm going to take him out so it clears it up for you a little bit.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay. Boom. So we'll take out Kurt Cobain.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So as you were talking about Andrea Gibson,
Yeah.
I
Oops.
feel like there was some, it felt like you were the poetry.
Yeah.
I was hearing some Pisces, but then there was some Scorpio quality coming through. And so is it perhaps the moon in Scorpio?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
you're
Okay.
correct.
The
So they
moon and
had,
Scorpio. Thank you for those hints
yep,
because I wasn't familiar with them.
yep,
So
yep,
thank you for that overview there.
yeah, yeah. And let me just make sure. Yep, yep. It is Scorpio in the, oh, sorry. Which one do you think?
Oh yeah, there's two. Oh, there's two. Yeah, where is
I almost
it?
gave it away.
Well, I had the moon in Scorpio. I think is it in the third or in the
Yeah,
fifth? It's
yeah,
in
the
the
third.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, the
yeah, what
poetry
makes you
there.
say
Yeah.
third?
Well, you were talking about just as a like kind of tapping into that intensity through words, through
Yeah,
speech. You said through poetry, but like that's also
exactly.
that use. So that kind of was one quality. This
Yeah.
I was also thinking just the MC and Gemini being on stage and being able
Oh
to be
yeah.
have that. ability to talk and to be versatile. And just from what you were saying, that was what was coming out.
Mhm.
What was there anything else like for the Sun and Leo in the 12th? How do you see that
I
from what you
think
know of her?
I see how the Sun and Leo in the 12th was quite representative because they were suffering from this illness, and it was terminal and it's
Yes,
heavy
yes,
stuff. And in the
yes.
12th house, where we might be working through some heavier things, and they were they're kind of a light in the face of darkness. And
Yes, you did. Yes,
right?
yes.
And then also having to, as a non-binary person too, like also being a spokesperson for that, so that, like also like a marginalized person as well, which is can be a
Beautiful.
12th house signature. And then
Yes,
just
absolutely.
right, their rising sign conjunct Venus, and then it's wider, but Mercury is there as well, and just the wordplay. So I would definitely recommend checking their poetry out. Especially if you have been going through some darker things, or grief. It's a huge one there. So I'll take them out of the running here.
I love that
Um,
light for the marginalized people.
right?
That's so beautiful. It's so beautiful for
Yes.
Leo in the 12th. Really
Yeah. Beautiful, right? Okay,
beautiful.
so I will. So you have three more. You got Megan the Stallion, Lisa
Okay.
Kudrow, Kendrick Lamar.
Mm, okay. Well, and it's funny because I've looked in the past at a lot of these
Yeah.
videos and you forget, like, because I didn't
Oh
like
yeah.
deep dive. Lisa Kudrow. Okay, thinking
Yeah.
maybe Sun in Aquarius. Maybe no. All
Nope.
right, all right. That was just
Hers kind of surprised me. I was a little surprised.
okay.
Yeah.
So let me think here. Well, Kendrick Lamar is very, very, very good with lyrics and with okay.
Yeah.
So maybe would he maybe have this? I'm afraid to say this. Like it's like I'm nervous.
I
Sun
am Grady.
Gemini? Mm?
Oh, what was that about Gemini?
Sun and Gemini?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, okay. Because there's just such a his way
I
with
mean,
words is amazing. So just
hello.
like that comes to mind right there.
Yeah.
And again, when with so rapper like someone in that kind of field in the
Yeah.
in that moon in Pisces that you were speaking to with the comedians also
Mhm.
works for all of these kind of artists. So I think there's
Yeah.
that quality. And it's something in, like in the sixth house, like of his work and every day, like he probably puts taps into that,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
All the time. And oh my gosh, this is so hard on the spot. I'm like,
I know. No, you did a beautiful job there, because I mean, that is one literal, like, Gemini was such. I was like, oh yeah, because like the way he uses words, and he received, what was it, like the let me just check my notes here on him. Oh my god, he's received so many accolades over his career. And he was like one of the 100 most influential people in 2016. And that's it, the Pulitzer Prize for music. And so I don't know why I was like, I could kind of see the Libra rising with that. Libra rising doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're getting like acclaim, but there's something with the Venusian and the music and being able to, I don't know, there was just something about that I was like, okay,
no, that these are great ones. These are really
yeah,
great ones. And again, this is making me want to do like a whole like deep dive into their biography and their life
I
and then like
know, I
breaking down the
know,
whole chart. I love doing all that.
yeah,
Like, we're
yeah,
trying to keep this light, but I'm like, oh, I want to go in and break it all down. But I
yeah,
mean, this is great. I love it.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take him out.
Cool. Okay. So then Lisa Kudrow would be the sun in Leo, moon in Scorpio,
Yeah, yeah.
ascendant in Cancer and MC in Aries.
Mhm, mhm.
Interesting.
I
And then that
know,
would give
right?
Megan Thee Stallion, Sun in Aquarius,
Yeah,
Moon in Leo, Ascendant in Taurus, conjunct the South Node, and the MC in Capricorn in the ninth
yeah.
house.
I
Okay.
know.
Well, Lisa Kudrow. Okay, so it's interesting because when I think of all of the cast of Friends, that's of course she's done much more than that, but it's like what
Totally.
comes to mind. And I feel like of all the characters, when I think of like how I saw her, maybe while she's like really funny and quirky, there was almost like a more, I wouldn't say introvert. How can I know if she's introvert or not? But there's a more,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know, different quality that kind of there's something in that. I could
there's
see that
something about
Cancer.
her. I
Mhm.
know. And like
Yeah, there's
apparently,
something.
yeah, her intellect is apparently like very, very big. Like I someone was like, oh, she has like an insane IQ. And like I know,
I
isn't that
believe that. Yes,
right?
yes. I did hear that. Yes.
And I was like, okay, and there's just something about her that seems, I don't know, I very grounded, like the Cancer rising. I was like, oh, and she's so well beloved. And that doesn't, not all Cancer risings are, but when it is in action and that moon kind of leading there, and I was also surprised. I was like, oh, and then I was like, well, that's interesting. The MC in Aries and like the famous show Friends, but wouldn't
Yeah.
that put her? Would her IC then be in Libra and the I mean, it could be in
Yeah.
the fourth. I mean, I could check her chart, but
But it
like
would be, but the IC would be there
the IC would
nonetheless.
be there. Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It is in Libra, and so that's kind of funny when you think about like fourth house friends. That's just like a literal, I don't know, thing there. But
Well,
yeah,
I would curious to see also how she approached her career because like with Aries just
yeah,
kind of going for it and like paving your own path. There's so much this makes me almost want to
literally.
go in and like learn
I
more about them,
know.
all of
I
that.
know.
Because of course I love Friends. I watched it all the
Yeah, same.
time and but you only see a snapshot of
Yeah,
them through their characters. And oftentimes the
exactly.
characters that they play, they sometimes, depending on their roles, they access different parts of the chart, which is
Yeah.
always cool. But I haven't seen so much of her other body of work,
Mhm.
so it'd be something I'd be really interested in.
Yeah. And then what
Cool.
do you think about? Are you familiar with Megan the Stallion?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But it's like, okay, so we took Lisa Kudrow out. So Sun in Aquarius, Moon in Leo, can see that Moon in Leo,
Mhm, mhm.
Ascendant in Taurus, and MC in Capricorn.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason I picked this one and I was really excited is because I've been learning more about her too. And apparently, like, she's like just a badass business woman, entrepreneur. And I was like, this feels very Capricornian, that MC right there. Like, she owns a Popeyes. She has like an alcohol brand. And I know she has like a hotties, like, some like, but very like she's done very hard work ethic, and so I was like, that's so cool to see in the top of her chart.
Yeah, no, that's those. It's so those people that have that strong work ethic, we often do see the MC in Capricorn or some
Yeah.
kind of really visible place because
Yeah.
I mean, I think anybody that is in the business and really you kind of have to have a little bit of like, I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes you get lucky, but I think you see that so often in people's
Mhm.
charts that work really hard to achieve these levels of success.
Yeah. And then like the Taurus rising, I'm like, well, hello Venus, and the moon and
Hello,
Leo.
Venus. Yes.
Yeah, like it fits, it fits. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll stop my share there. Oh, I love
Those
that
were some
game.
great picks. That was a lot. I love it. That was a little fun,
Oh,
for
good.
hopefully those that were listening had a little fun with us, but
Yes. Yeah, it's really cool. And where we got that information from, so not all charts are posted publicly, of course. And so I don't know about you, but I use a website called Astro Data Bank. And
yes.
yeah, and they have, so some of the charts are like A rated, double A rated, which means, yeah, this information is legit. And then it goes a little further down and they're like, we think this could be the time. We've had to rectify the chart, and not all well-known people are there, but it is a good resource to use if you're curious.
Yeah, very, and also the other thing to mention that I wanted to mention, all these charts that we've chosen have at least I chose charts that at least had a B rating or up. There's something called the
Yeah.
Rodden rating, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Love it.
and so depending on the ascendant and the midheaven are angles that have to be calculated to be accurate,
Yeah.
need to have an accurate birth time. So these when you're looking at charts, just a little side note for those that may not know. You really want to, when you're looking at those charts, to check and see if the data is accurate because it might not
Yeah.
always be.
It
So,
may not always be. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that was awesome. So that leaves us with our third book recommendation, and then we will bid adieu to you
Uh,
all.
Sounds wonderful. Okay,
Awesome.
you want to why don't
Yeah.
you go ahead and share your
Okay.
last book?
Okay. So what I've got is, okay. This is called Aspects in Astrology, a comprehensive guide to interpretation by Sue Tompkins. So I love, excuse me, I love Sue Tompkins' work. Sue Tompkins also has a book that we use in the first year at AU. It's like the Contemporary Astrologer's Handbook, I believe. It's another great cookbook to look into, but I'll talk about that another time. So Sue Tompkins is great because, again, this is a nice, I would say this is going to be probably more intermediate because that when you get the basics of the signs, the houses, the planets, you've done some blending, then it's time to add in the aspects. The aspects are the geometrical alignments of the planets and the relationships they're having with one another. So when you hear astrologers saying, oh, the sun is square Mercury or Jupiter conjunct Saturn or whatever, those are aspects. And aspects, oh, they like, that's where you really get into the stuff of the charts. And that's what really makes everybody's charts so unique and personal. And I really like this one because she literally goes through every aspect, and she will kind of chat about, how Mars Pluto feels conjunct, square, trine, opposite, and so on. And I think she does a really nice treatment. It goes beyond just keywords and buzzwords. And yeah, I've just really taken some profound meanings away. This is definitely a book I will use as a guidebook when I'm prepping consults if there's one that I'm not as familiar with. Yeah, so I would say it's another good foundational book to have in the library. So again, Aspects in Astrology by Sue Tompkins, I think a British astrologer.
I go back to that one from time to time.
Yeah,
I think it's really solid
yeah,
in like you for with all that you said. I completely agree with, and
mhm,
it's really a great way to just kind of feel into how those archetypes might feel in different aspects to each other. So great book.
exactly.
I concur.
Yay. Okay, I can't even remember what your third one was. So what remind me.
My third one is The Luminaries
Yes.
by Liz Green and Howard Susportis. I
Hello.
love this book. This wasn't one also that I read early on. It was on, so after, I mentioned I went on this astrology retreat. This was one of the
Yeah.
books that was like reading material for the retreat. Love this book. First of all, it is taken from a week-long seminar that they did. So it's a bunch of lectures. So I kind of like that it's written in a way that's engaging with the audience. So they
Mm,
share in their, they share information and then there's audience questions and that's all in the book. But I really love how they talk about the sun and the moon in the psyche. And,
yeah.
it's just so beautiful the way they speak like the sun and the hero's journey, and they go into what its significance is in relation, and then how the moon is very different in nature. And it's not just like, oh, the moon, it's your feelings. It really dives into what it represents and how it, it reflects how we experienced our mother, and how the
Yeah.
sun and the moon, while they're very different, need to kind of come together and work together. And it's just a really beautiful way of looking at the sun and the moon and really understand these parts of our nature and what they represent, because the luminaries are so important. They're so key in the chart.
Yeah.
And there's so much information out there on the sun and the moon, like your sun sign, right? But if you
Yeah.
really want a deeply psychological treatment, right? Like, what
Mhm.
do these luminaries represent in the psyche? This is the book. And I don't know, I just think that in grading, year one, they have to read this book, and listening to like all the realizations that the year one
Mhm.
students have. And it brings me back to when I read the book. It's like, wow, I never thought of it that way. In fact, it was this course where, and this book really talks about how, the sun is something that we grow into and that we're becoming, and then it's a journey. It just isn't something that we're just
Yeah.
familiar with. And that was something
Yeah.
that I never really thought about before reading the book, right? So there's lots of things that
So good.
were really revelatory and illuminating, kind of perfect for the luminaries,
Okay.
when I read this book. How about
I
you?
Oh my God, I love this book so much. I'm just like, yeah, everything you said, yes, yes, yes. And it's so true. Like every time someone reads this in that course, right? They're like, oh my God. I didn't it just brings such a nuanced understanding to the sun sign and the moon sign. I would be like, you have to read this one. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
you do. You have to add it
Yes.
to the library. And they also, I think they'll also throw in some mythology too. And I think that's helpful. I like mythology. It's not my forte, so it's not too heavy on it, but
Right.
it's like just the right amount. And again, it is also that psychological basis too. And just to read what they're speaking in that dialogue, it actually makes it a pretty easy read, but again profound. And Liz Green is like, she
I
How
mean, yeah, talk about really doing the deep dive psychologically
yeah,
speaking. And I also love that you get these two perspectives. They complement each other, but they have a
exactly.
different voice, right? A different
Yeah,
tone to them. So you get this different again, they're not like completely divergent, right? But you see just different ways
yeah,
of how you can speak to the sun and the moon.
exactly.
And so highly recommend it. Highly
Yeah,
recommend it.
yeah. You know what we should do is maybe put these book recommendations. We'll put them on our when we post about the episode, but maybe in the episode details.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can definitely,
Okay,
it's a
sweet.
great idea. We'll have that up there so you guys can access them and where you might
Yeah.
be able to find them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for coming along with this ride. It was a little bit, Gemini-ian,
I love
very,
it.
we had some lights flashing. We had
We
lots of things going on today.
literally.
So, very bit different than some of our other episodes, a little
Yeah.
playful, a little bit lighthearted, but I had a good time
Me
and
too.
this is fun.
Yeah, Simona and I, we love also playing games. So this is like just we have many more games and activities, but this is just some of them. And so we'll definitely probably do something similar yet different. And I think we're also going to do every once in a while keep introducing some books and resources because sometimes it can be like, where do I start? Where do I begin? Who can I trust? And these are
Right.
all really well vetted, well sourced stuff. And then I think this episode's coming out in like July or late June. Right?
Later, yes. Yeah,
Yes.
we're recording a bit ahead of
Yeah.
time. So, yeah.
We're being on schedule here. So yeah, we're excited. We've already recorded some great episodes coming your way, and we're just really excited to kind of like be in the middle of this so far. I think it's going so fun. So make sure to follow our Instagram pages. You want to follow the Astro Lounge pod on Instagram to get updates and alerts. And then you can find me at Kaia Astrology, HIYA_KAIA Astrology. And yes, I'm open for readings and consults. So come chat with me.
Come chat with Gaia.
Yes.
You can find me on Instagram at the dot cosmic wanderer, WONDERER. And my website is thecosmicwanderer.com.
Yep. And then leave us a 5-star review. Thank you very much. Spotify, on YouTube, we're working on Apple. And yeah, we will chat with you guys soon. Till then, stay cosmic.
Yeah, to the next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.